So I have a wild story. I just bought these brand new vehicles. I say brand new, but they're classic cars. They're old, but they look brand new. They've been in a garage of an elderly woman for like 30 years. She kept them after her husband, Harold, passed away. And the reason she kept them and never sold them was because Harold made one wish. Find somebody who will cherish these cars. Find somebody who won't sell them, won't take them apart for pieces. Find someone that won't stick them in a garage for 30 years. Find someone that'll drive them. Well, that person is me. I bought the cars. Only cost me $5,000 and they're worth like $50,000. I'm going to keep my word though, don't worry about that. I'm a mechanic. I'm fixing them up and I'm driving them every single weekend. I'll get into what these cars are, but I need to tell you why I'm posting. See, there was a fake grandson. Once the elderly lady passed away, someone contacted me saying those are his vehicles. Turns out it was her grandson, but he's a phony. And you're wondering, how do I know that he's a phony? It's because I have all the evidence. I never really planned to end up in the middle of a legal nightmare over 5 rusting Australian classics. But sometimes life hands you a wrench and tells you to figure out what's broken. This happened back in 2018, but I'm only posting now because enough time has passed that I can laugh about it without checking my rearview mirror for lawyers. Back in 2016, I was just a car guy in my 30s who knew his way around a Ford Falcon and believed handshakes still meant something. I'd been helping my coworker Morgan's mother fix her gutters one Saturday. The kind of favor you do because you own a ladder and know which end of a hammer to hold. It was hot as hell. The kind of Australian summer day where the air is just shimmering off the pavement and you question every single life choice that led you to be on the roof at noon. That's when I met Elaine. She was Morgan's mother's neighbor, 92 years of age, but sharp enough to quote Shakespeare and tell you exactly why your timing belt was about to snap just by listening to your engine. Her husband had passed 3 months earlier, and she still talked about him like he just stepped out of the shed and grabbed a spanner. She'd noticed my 75 Falcon XB parked out front, not because it was particularly pristine, it wasn't, but because she recognized the sound of it. "You might appreciate what my Harry left behind," she said, those watery blue eyes suddenly bright with something between mischief and melancholy. Behind her gate, covered in dust and bird crap, but still somehow dignified, sat 5 beautiful vehicles that made my heart skip. 2 absolute beauties, a 73 Falcon GT and a 76 Holden Monaro. And 3 project cars that were more rust than metal, but still whispered potential if you know how to listen. Here's where I need you to understand something. I'm not a saint, but I'm not a scammer either. I looked at those cars and did the mental math. Told Elaine straight up that they were worth some serious money. The Falcon alone, even in its dusty state, was worth at least 20 grand. Easy. Oh, the other, maybe 15. And the others, the rusty ones, were worth at least 5,000 as restoration projects or part cars. She waved her hand like I was talking about pocket change. Oh, Harry loved those cars more than he loved most people. $5,000 for the lot. If you promise to actually drive them, not sell them, not let them rot, drive them. I tried to argue. I really tried. Told her to call her kids, get evaluations, think about it, and she laughs. It was a raspy, knowing laugh that said, "Young man, I'm 92. What am I going to do with $40,000? Buy a fast wheelchair? Take it. Harry would like you." So I did. I did what any gearhead with a functioning conscience and a dysfunctional ability to say no would do. I warned her 3 more times and paid her $5 grand cash and got everything in writing with witnesses. Morgan's mother and her husband, and towed those beautiful cars home, feeling like I just adopted 5 elderly dogs who might bite me but deserved love anyways. Well, the next 2 years were heaven. I'm talking late nights in the garage, hands covered in grease, radio playing classic rock, slowly bringing these machines back to life. The Falcon GT roared back first, 321 cubic inches of Australian muscle that made windows rattle, 3 houses down. The Monero took longer, needed a full engine rebuild, but when she finally purred, I'm not ashamed to say I got emotional. The 3 project cars, well, 2 became donors to save their brother, 1 got a second chance with new everything. I kept every receipt, every transfer paper, every registration form. This was not paranoia. This was habit drilled into my head by my old man who's been messed over in the car deals back in the 90s and never forgot it. Paper trail or paper fail, he used to say. Turns out it was like a prophet. Well, Elaine passed in July 2018, peaceful in her sleep, they say. The kind of death we all hope for but rarely get. I sent flowers to the funeral and wrote a card about how the Falcon just hit 150,000 kilometers and still purred like it was 1975. Her daughter, not Morgan's mom, another named Patricia, actually called to thank me, said Elaine had mentioned the young fellow who actually appreciated Harry's babies. I thought that was the end of the story. Beautiful old lady, beautiful old car, circle of life, everyone goes home happy. Then a month later my phone rang. Unknown number, Melbourne area code. You need to return my grandmother's car immediately. The voice was male, sharp, trying to sound authoritative, but overshooting into aggression, like somebody had watched too many law dramas and thought volume equaled authority. I'm sorry, who is this? This is Alex Morrison, Elaine's grandson and a lawyer. You took advantage of a confused elderly woman, and I'll have you charged with elder abuse if those cars are not returned within 48 hours. Guys, I actually laughed. Not like a polite chuckle, but a genuine bark of disbelief, and then I hung up the phone. He calls back immediately, and I let it ring. He calls again, and by the 4th call, my amusement had curdled into unease. See, scammers usually give up after 1 or 2 tries. Persistent scammers either really believe their own bullcrap or have something to lose. Listen, mate. I bought those cars fair and square. Have the paperwork, witness the lot. Don't call me again. I know where you live, he said. And that's when the fun really started. So, a week later, he was at my doorstep, 6 feet of cheap suit and expensive cologne, holding a business card like it was a warrant. Alex Morrison, junior associate at some firm that I've actually never heard of. The card looked real enough, but something about him didn't. Maybe it was how his suit didn't quite fit, or how he kept touching his face when he talked. Classic tell of someone uncomfortable with their own crap. Mr. Sean, he started, getting my name wrong right off the bat. It's my first name, not surname, dude. I'm here to give you one last opportunity to resolve this amicably. My German Shepherd, Diesel, because of course a guy has a dog named after fuel, took an immediate dislike to him. Started that low growl that means I don't trust this human, and dogs just know. They always know. Those cars were obtained through exploitation of a vulnerable elderly person, Alex continued, pulling out his phone to film my driveway where 2 of the Falcons were visible. Return them now, or I'll file both criminal and civil charges, elder abuse, fraud, and theft by deception. Well, I shut the door in his face. I didn't slam it. That would have been satisfying, but stupid. Just closed it, calm as can be, and, while he was mid-sentence. The night I sat up until 3 a.m. researching property transfer laws, elder abuse statutes, anything that could tell me if I had something to worry about, and everything seemed to check out. The sale was legitimate, witnesses documented. Elaine has been evaluated by her doctor 2 months before the sale. It was just a routine checkup, but still documented mental competency. I was clean. But anxiety does not give a crap about paperwork. It sits under my ribs like an engine knock that you can't quite locate. Alex called the next morning, voice oilier than a blown head gasket. He said, "Look, we both know the situation here. You seem like a reasonable man. What if we compromise? You keep 2 cars, return 3, and we call it fair and square. Put any offer in writing and send it to my lawyer," I said, not mentioning I didn't actually have a lawyer yet. He didn't put anything in writing. Instead, he shows up again 3 days later. This time with what he claimed was a witness, but looked suspiciously like a mate that he bribed with beer money. They filmed my home, my cars, even my mailbox, and I started keeping my dash cam running, even when parked. I installed a Ring doorbell and began my own evidence collection. Morgan, bless her, was the one who suggested I talk to her mom. She knew Elaine for 30 years. She said that she'll know the family dynamics. Morgan's mother, Linda, made us tea and dropped a bomb casual as you please. Elaine did not have a grandson named Alex. The teacup froze halfway to my mouth. I said, "Come again?" She had 2 daughters, Patricia and Jane. Patricia had 2 boys, both named David. Obviously different fathers. Long story on that one. Jane, she had 1 girl, Tiffany. Tiffany married a fellow named Alex once, but they divorced years ago. Nasty business. He had a gambling debt, apparently. The pieces clicked together like a rebuilt transmission, smooth and sickening all at once. This was not a grandson. This was an ex-in-law who somehow heard about the cars and thought he would find a payday. So, I called Patricia that afternoon. She confirmed it. Alex Morrison had been married to her niece for 18 months 6 years ago. He was a piece of work, she said. Claimed to be a lawyer, but we found out later he was just a paralegal who got fired for ethics violation. Has been bothering you? That's what she asked. I said, "You could say that." "Oh gosh, I'm so sorry. He must have seen the death notice, and he always was a vulture." Armed with this information, I did what I should have done from the start. I got a real lawyer. My friend Eric had gone to law school, practiced for a few years, but decided he preferred teaching. But he still had his license, and more importantly, he had time for a bit of fun. We drafted a cease and desist that could cut glass. Professional, cold, and loaded with just enough legal terminology to let Alex know that we were not playing. Eric hand-delivered to the firm Alex claimed to work for. The receptionist's face when she read it was, according to Eric, worth the drive alone. Turns out Alex did work there, as a paralegal, not a lawyer, had been there for 3 months, and the managing partner was very interested to hear about his after-hour activities. The silence afterward lasted exactly 48 hours. Then Alex was back at my door, face red, breathing hard, looking like a man watching his con fall apart in real time. "You think you're clever, going to my workplace?" "No, I think it was legal." I said that while Diesel was at my side doing his best impression of a wolf. He shoved a folded paper at me, and I could see it was blank before he pulled it back. It was a prop. The kind of move that works in movies but just looks pathetic in real life. "You'll regret this," he said. "Leave before I call the cops. This is your last warning." He spit on my driveway, classy, and stormed off. But here's the thing about desperate men with nothing to lose. They don't sleep, they escalate. The next week was a masterclass in harassment. Calls from block numbers at all hours, texts from burner phones. He showed up at my work, told the receptionist he was my lawyer, and needed to speak to me urgently about a family emergency. She, legend that she is, told him to get the hell out of here in the politest professional manner possible and called security. I documented everything. Every call, text, visit. Eric was building what he called a beautiful case file. The managing partner from Alex's firm called personally to apologize and inform me that Alex had been terminated. "This is not the first ethics violation," the partner said carefully. "We appreciate you bringing this to our attention." But Alex wasn't done. The termination just made him even more desperate. The late-night visit was the final straw at 3 o'clock in the morning. I wake up to Diesel going absolutely mental. Look out the window and there he is, Alex, trying to jimmy the lock on the garage where I keep the cars, on camera, with his face clearly visible. I didn't confront him. I just called the police and gave them the whole story. Showed them my file of evidence, and they arrested him for attempted breaking and entering, trespassing, and harassment. The officer was looking through my documentation and actually said, "Yo, this is the most organized victim file I've ever seen. I restore classic cars, documentation's everything to me." Well, the court case was almost, how do I put it, anticlimactic? Alex represented himself because no lawyer would touch him with a 10-foot pole and tried to claim that he was protecting his grandmother's estate. Well, the judge, a woman who looked like she's seen every scam in the book and was tired of it, shut him down in minutes. "Mr. Morrison, you're not related to the deceased. You have no claim to the estate. You have harassed, stalked, and attempted to rob Mr. Sean. I'm granting the restraining order and referring you for criminal prosecution." 6 months probation, $1,000 fine, and a restraining order that means he cannot come within 500 meters of me, my property, and of course my precious cars. But the real kicker came later. Tiffany, the actual granddaughter, reached out through Morgan's mother. She wanted to apologize for her ex-husband's behavior and see the vehicles herself. She brought photo albums, pictures of Harry and Elaine with the cars when they were new, racing trophies from the 70s, a newspaper clipping of Harry winning a local rally and the GT. She cried when she heard the car start up. Grandma was right to sell them to you. Harry would have hated them being born just laying in the barn. He built these two to be driven. She also filled in the blanks about Alex. He had been contacting everyone from Elaine's past, trying to find anything of value that he can take, and he tried to claim furniture, jewelry, even tried to get into her bank accounts, and the cars were just his latest attempt. How do you even know about them, I asked. Facebook. I posted a memorial photo of Grandma with the cars from the 70s, and he must have been watching my page. We ended up becoming friends, oddly enough, and she comes by every few months to see the cars. Tells me stories about Harry and Elaine. Late last Christmas, she brought me Harry's original workshop manual for the GT. Found it in a box of things, and I almost cried. The cars are still running now. The Falcon GT just hit 200,000 kilometers and sounds better than ever. The other, it won Best in Show at a local car meet. Even the project car I saved is running, though it's more Frankenstein than Ford at this point. I take them out on Sunday drives, always thinking about Harry and Elaine, and sometimes I'll catch an older man smiling at a traffic light, giving me the thumbs up. And I know that they get it. These are not just cars, they're stories, they're history, it's promises kept. Alex tried one more thing. It was a whole year later. Sent me a letter from a lawyer threatening civil action, and Eric ran the lawyer's name, and he didn't exist. The letterhead was fake, probably made in Microsoft Word. We sent it to the police, adding to Alex's file, and heard later that he's been arrested for a similar scam, targeting another elderly person's estate. This time, he got actual jail time. Well, Morgan says that I should feel bad for him, that desperation makes people do terrible things. Maybe she's right. But when I remember him on my doorstep, trying to intimidate me, filming my home, attempting to break into my garage, my sympathy evaporated like water on a hot engine block. Well, the lesson is document everything, trust your gut, and don't let anybody bully you, especially if they claim to be a lawyer but can't even get your name right. And if somebody spits on your driveway, they've already lost whatever argument that they thought they had. Oh, and one more thing. If an elderly person wants to sell you classic cars for way below market value because they trust you to take care of them, honor that trust and drive those cars, love those cars, and let them roar right down the highway and rumble at traffic lights, and let them be what they were built to be. Because in the end, that's all Harry wanted. That's all Elaine asked me of. Not money, not estates, not legal battles, just somebody who understood that cars are meant to be driven, not hidden. And when some fake grandson tries to take them, well, make sure your documentation is tighter than your engine seal, and let karma handle the rest. The Falcon's in the garage right now, cooling down from a morning drive. 321 cubic inches of Australian muscle that survived the 70s and 80s, decades in a shed, and one pathetic con man. She'll outlive us all, that car, and every time I turn the key, I think of Elaine's words. Harry would like you. Yeah, Elaine, I think he would've. Alright, everybody. Interesting story. I do have 2 comments that we can check out. The first one supports OP, and it says this. This is exactly why you document everything when dealing with classic car sales. And OP did everything perfectly from day one. The fact that this jerk, Alex, was pretending to be a grandson when he was actually just an ex-in-law with gambling decks makes this whole thing disgusting. He was literally grave robbing. OP tried to make sure Elaine got her fair value for those cars on multiple times, had witnesses, proper paperwork, and she still wanted him to have them for $5,000 because she cared more about the cars being loved than the money. Alex showing up in the middle of the night, trying to break into the garage, proves that he was never about protecting Grandma's estate. He was a criminal, looking for a payday. Well, the fact that OP got harassed at work, had his property filmed, received threatening calls at all hours, and still handled it through proper legal channels instead of just beating the guy's butt shows incredible restraint. Finding out Alex had been fired from being a paralegal for ethics violation and was running this same scam on other elderly people just proves OP was dealing with a serial predator. The real granddaughter, Tiffany, confirming her grandmother wanted a real car person to have them, should shut up anyone still defending the con artist. OP honored Elaine's actual wishes by restoring them and driving those cars. Exactly what her late husband would have wanted. Alex got 6 months probation when he deserved actual time. Anyways, this story is a masterclass in handling a dangerous person who thought that he could intimidate his way into $40,000 worth of classic vehicles. Guys, I agree with that comment 100%. But there was another comment that doesn't agree at all. It says, while Alex was obviously wrong, OP comes across as incredibly self-righteous for somebody who admits to know that he was getting $40,000 worth of cars for $5,000 from a 92-year-old woman. Sure, he warned her, okay, but he still took the deal knowing it was a massive undervalue, and that's ethically questionable regardless of the paperwork everyone keeps talking about. The fact that he immediately laughed and hung up when first contacted instead of having an adult conversation shows that he knew something about this deal was sketchy. OP keeps painting himself as this noble car enthusiast, but he was quick enough to break 2 cars down for parts instead of restoring all 5 like he supposedly promised Elaine. His friend Eric, just happening to be a lawyer who hand-delivered cease and desist letters, feels really convenient if you ask me, and the whole story reads like OP is leaving out very important details that might make him look guilty. Maybe Alex approached wrong, we get that, but if you thought your grandmother had been taken advantage of, would you not be upset too? OP acts like keeping receipts makes everything moral, but documentation doesn't change the fact that he paid an elderly woman 12% of what the cars were worth. The whole Diesel growled because dogs always know thing, come on, that's so dramatic. Dogs react to tension, not moral character. They're not listening to the story. Hello? Getting someone fired from their job over a civil dispute is excessive, especially when OP admits that he could have gotten a lawyer immediately but chose to escalate instead. You know, for all we know, Elaine might have had early-stage dementia, and OP is just lucky that she had a recent doctor's note. You know what? That's what I have to say about that. Guys, you know, I can understand some of those points, like, yeah, he did get it for $5,000 at the end of the day, but I just feel like this commenter is completely ignoring the fact that this fake grandson has already proven to have done this before in other schemes. He's not even really her grandson. Hello? Let me hear what you guys have to say in the comment section down below. And if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing for daily videos. I'll see you guys tomorrow, and of course remember one thing. It's cool to be kind. Peace.